So I'm joined today by Gordon McFarlane, and let me get Gordon to introduce himself to you. Gordon, your role, what you do, who you work for?
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, as I say, Gordon McFarlane, Assistant Director in Corporate Resources for Leicestershire County Council. Got a range of responsibilities, and my background is HR. I also manage a number of other support services as well. And I suppose the most relevant point for this conversation is that I'm the sponsor for a Ways of Working programme, looking at modernising our ways of working going forward.
So exactly, that's what we're going to talk about, ways of working. I'm guessing it's been pretty difficult during what's been a difficult 12, 14 months. What's been the broad approach taken by you guys in the last year?
Yeah, I mean, I've also been heavily involved in resilience work over the last year, so I've kind of had that broader sweep, if you like. But I think there's nothing unique about us. Like a lot of other employers, everyone found themselves working from home or remotely overnight. We made offices and workplaces COVID secure. We're down to about 20% of capacity, and we're still at that level now. We're not opening up yet. Massive focus on clear and transparent communication and engagement, lots of effort in managing expectations, staff, managers, elected members, and then we had a speeded up technology rollout as well, laptops and mobiles.
So I'm guessing as well then, the most of the focus will have been on the well-being of employees, the way that you're working at the moment.
I think it's fair to say that's been one of our biggest concerns over the last year, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster for people. We made a decision to do a number of staff wellbeing surveys, and we got huge response to the first one, and it's tailed off a little bit as we've gone through. But that was some very clear messages that people wanted to tell us how they were feeling, wanted some support. So we've recognised that some of the issues were out of our control, what was happening in the economy, etc. But we've tried to address the things that we can influence. So we've had tailored action plans, including a focus on good mental health, building on a comprehensive offer that was already in place. We produced a manager's charter, just the real basics that managers should do to keep in touch with people when they're working remotely, asking them if they're okay, asking twice, those sorts of really basic things. And then we put a lot of support and coaching in for managers in relation to managing remote teams as well.
Have you found then that is making the return to the workplace a little easier? What's it starting to look like now?
Yeah, I think the phrase I would use is we're very cautious. I think we've kept all our risk assessments as they are and restrictions in place at the moment. And then the instruction even now, even approaching 21st of June, is to carry on working from home if it's all possible. We've got exceptions, obviously, relating to business need, and also, for example, if there's an impact on people's mental health. And we've obviously got a wide range of frontline staff as well. So whilst we're monitoring government guidance, we're taking advice locally. We have public health within the authority, so we're taking advice locally. But I think the important thing to say is we're sending clear messages that life won't go back to how it was in terms of working in the office. We've accelerated our ways of working program that I mentioned. And for us, we're usually starting to use the phrase hybrid working. That's the way forward.
And in terms of all this, obviously, it all comes at a cost, two ways, from productivity and, of course, with investing from you guys. So what sort of investment are you making in ways of working?
Yeah, I think we're at the moment, we're revising our ways of working business case. And, we know we need to drive financial benefit of that, but we do need to invest to get that financial benefit. But it's things like better use of space or reduced space, investment in technology, which obviously we did speed up, moving our office-based staff to a much more flexible model of operating. So, investing in things like, how can we make hybrid working work properly so people have the right technology, investing in space planners for buildings so that we have the right collaboration spaces, and also probably the most important investment is in culture change, so taking people through a culture change program. But we need to drive financial and lots of other benefits out of all this as well.
Do you think one of the things then within this project is actual behavioural change? People are set in the ways, and it's a natural thing that people do not want to change if they're used to something.
I think if I wind back to pre-COVID, we would have had much more of a battle. We probably, in fairness, had pockets of the authority which were quite entrenched, quite comfortable with, we've always done it this way. The one advantage, if you can put it like that, of the pandemic is that it's forced people to change their thinking, and they've now had this experience. People, I think there's a range of reactions. People who are desperate to get back to the workplace to mix with colleagues, people who are scared to and a bit worried about it, and probably everything in between. And this is about us thinking about the long term. And I think it's easier now, and the feedback we're getting is much more the how rather than the why.
So are you now starting to think about long-term future? Are you
Yeah.
in a position where you can do that now?
Yeah, we are. And I think this revised business case that I mentioned will be very much about realizing benefits over the next few years as we embed the new model. And, it's fair to say some of the property related benefits will take longer to drive out. We've got long leases on some buildings, etc. But there's got to be a wide range of benefits that we can derive from reduced operating costs, productivity, lower sickness absence, recruitment and retention, and more. So absolutely thinking about the long term.
You're going to be joining us at Regenerating the Workplace in September, and we thank you for that.
Yeah.
What is going to be, without giving too much away, what's going to be the core subject matter of your presentation when you're down there?
Yeah, I think it'll be certainly about building on some of the points I've made during this conversation. But I think if we focused a bit on kind of what's happened over the last year, but well-being, I think resilience is a really important part of what we could talk about. And then it's really the how rather than the what in relation to different ways of working, because talking to other employers, we're all doing similar things, but we're all probably doing them in slightly different ways. And what will work for Leicestershire may not work exactly for another employer.
We look forward to seeing you down there. Thanks very much for taking time out
Looking
today.
forward
Very
to
much
it too.
Appreciated. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you down there.
Excellent. Thanks, Paul.